Breaking news, tensions escalate in the South China Sea as water cannons are fired on a Filipino vessel near Ayungin Shoal, sending shockwaves through the region and drawing international attention to this volatile flashpoint. The world holds its breath as a battered Philippine supply boat, its hull scarred from previous encounters, inches closer to the BRP Sierra Madre. This rusting, grounded ship serves as a lonely outpost and a symbol of Philippine resolve, anchored in the heart of contested waters, where every journey is fraught with uncertainty. Without warning, a massive Chinese Coast Guard ship emerges from the mist, dwarfing the supply boat. Suddenly, powerful water cannons erupt, sending torrents crashing down and making the small vessel shudder under the assault. Filipino sailors scramble desperately for cover as the relentless water barrage smashes windows, shreds tarps, and damages vital equipment. Amid the chaos, shouts ring out and the crew is forced to retreat, their mission hanging by a thread. This isn't open war, but it's a perilous game of brinkmanship. Each maneuver, each provocation brings both sides closer to the edge. One miscalculation could ignite a conflict that draws in nations far beyond these waters. For the world, it's just another headline flashing across screens. But for these sailors, it's a daily struggle for survival, a test of courage and endurance against overwhelming odds. Every supply run is a high-stakes gamble. The crew never knows if today's confrontation will end with water cannons or escalate into something far more deadly. Each mission is a leap into the unknown with lives and national pride hanging in the balance. These men are more than just crew members, they are living symbols of their nation's sovereignty. With every journey, they risk everything to uphold a claim recognized by international law, standing firm in the face of overwhelming pressure. The tension never lets up. The risks are ever present, and the psychological toll is immense. Each face tells a story of fear, determination, and hope. Around the globe, journalists and governments watch every move, analyzing footage and debating the stakes. Each mission becomes a test of national resolve, a signal to allies and rivals alike. The unfolding drama at Ayungin Shoal is more than a territorial dispute. It's the front line of a high-stakes struggle for control, identity, and the future of the region. Here, every wave, every confrontation, could shape the course of history. For Filipino fishermen, the West Philippine Sea is not just a stretch of water on a map. It is home, heritage, and the very heart of their livelihood. Here, generations have cast their nets, relying on the sea's bounty to feed their families and sustain their communities. To them, these waters are not a chessboard for powerful nations, but a lifeline woven into the fabric of daily life. Men like Bobby Santos remember a time when fishing was simple and free. He and his fellow fishermen would set out before dawn, confident that the sea would provide. Their hard work brought home not just fish but hope and pride, enough to support families, send children to school, and keep local markets thriving. But now, the tides have changed. Chinese maritime militia vessels loom on the horizon, shadowing and harassing Filipino boats. What was once a routine trip has become a dangerous gamble, with every journey shadowed by uncertainty and fear. The presence of these foreign ships has turned the sea into a battleground, where fishermen must weigh the risks of confrontation against the needs of their families. Bobby's catch has dwindled. His nets, once full, are now often slashed or empty. Each torn net is a blow to his income, and each meager haul means less food on the table. The sea that once promised abundance now offers only anxiety and loss. Fear and frustration have replaced the old sense of freedom. The joy of fishing has been replaced by the constant worry of what, or who, awaits them beyond the shore. Many fishermen are forced into debt, borrowing money just to buy fuel and supplies. They travel farther out to sea, risking rougher waters and longer days, only to return with smaller catches. Their families wait anxiously at home, hoping for their safe return and enough fish to get by. The impact ripples through entire coastal communities. Empty fish market stalls mean less income for vendors, less food for families, and more hardship for everyone. A way of life passed down through generations is now under threat. This is the real cost of the dispute, measured not in political statements but in empty nets, anxious faces, and the growing uncertainty that clouds the future of these communities. Yet, despite the risks and mounting challenges, Filipino fishermen persist. Out of necessity, yes, but also out of quiet defiance. Each journey to sea is an act of resilience, a refusal to surrender their way of life. Casting a net becomes more than just a daily task. It is an act of sovereignty, a declaration that they will not be erased from the waters that have always been theirs. Their courage is often overlooked by the world, but it is the truest measure of what's at stake. Every determined face tells a story of sacrifice, hope, and unwavering resolve. In the face of adversity, the spirit of community endures. Fishermen help each other repair nets, share what little they have, and stand together against the challenges that threaten their survival. Their story is one of survival, solidarity, and an unbreakable spirit. The fight for the sea is more than a territorial dispute. It is a fight for identity, dignity, and the future of generations yet to come. For these families, the West Philippine Sea is not just water, it is life itself. The West Philippine Sea is the Philippines' economic lifeline, security buffer, and a core of national identity. Its fisheries feed millions and sustain coastal economies. 30% of the nation's catch comes from here. Beneath the waves lie oil and gas reserves that could transform the country's energy future. Tapping these resources means less reliance on imports and more national revenue. Strategically, the sea is a vital shipping lane and the nation's western frontier. Control here means security. Losing it shrinks the country's defensive perimeter. The sea is woven into Filipino history and pride. Defending it is about dignity, not just territory. The name West Philippine Sea is a declaration. These waters are a national legacy. The struggle is for food, energy, security, and identity. The Philippines faces a pivotal choice: cooperate with China or stand firm on its rights. Cooperation could mean joint development of oil and gas, unlocking resources the country can't access alone. Supporters see this as pragmatic, a way to avoid conflict and gain economic benefits. But critics warn it risks surrendering sovereignty and legitimizing China's claims. The alternative: defend the Hague ruling, modernize defenses, and strengthen alliances. This path means upholding the law and national dignity, even against a stronger adversary. It's not about war, but about building credible deterrence and diplomatic coalitions. The choice is stark short-term economic gain or long-term sovereignty. Each path has risks and rewards. The nation must weigh pragmatism against principle. The decision will shape the country's future. Each option carries real costs. Cooperation with China could bring energy and revenue, easing economic pressures and stabilizing prices. But it risks public backlash, loss of legal standing, and alienation from key allies. China could dominate any partnership, leaving the Philippines with little control. Standing firm means investing in defense and facing continued tension, even economic retaliation. Fishermen and sailors remain at risk, and a single miscalculation could be disastrous. Yet, upholding the Hague ruling earns global respect and protects long-term interests. A strong stance could deter aggression and secure resources for future generations. The path is harder, but it promises true sovereignty. The stakes: national pride, security, and destiny. In 2016, the Hague Tribunal delivered a landmark victory for the Philippines. The court ruled China's 9-dash line had no legal basis under international law. It affirmed the Philippines' rights to its exclusive economic zone, including key features like Ayungin Shoal. The ruling gave the Philippines a powerful legal and moral high ground. It transformed the dispute into a test of the international rules-based order. But the ruling isn't enforceable. China rejected it outright and continues its activities. The Philippines holds a legal victory its neighbor ignores. The challenge turning paper rights into reality on the water. The world watches to see if law can triumph over might. The ruling is a shield, but not a sword. Even after the landmark Hague ruling, the Philippines still faces three major and interconnected hurdles in developing its offshore resources: investment, law, and security. These challenges are not just technical or financial. They are deeply rooted in the country's geopolitical situation and legal landscape. Developing offshore oil and gas reserves is a massive undertaking. It requires billions of dollars in capital, advanced technology, and years of planning. Foreign investors, who are crucial for funding and expertise, often hesitate to commit because of the high risks involved. They worry about the stability of their investments, the possibility of sudden policy changes, and the ever-present threat of conflict in disputed waters. For investment to flow, the legal framework must be both clear and attractive. Laws need to provide certainty and incentives for investors, while also ensuring that the Philippines retains control over its natural resources. This means crafting regulations that are transparent, consistent, and in full compliance with the Constitution. Striking this balance is a delicate task, but it is essential for building investor confidence. Unfortunately, bureaucratic red tape and legal uncertainty have long been stumbling blocks. Lengthy approval processes, overlapping regulations, and shifting government policies can frustrate even the most determined investors. These delays not only slow down projects but can also cause potential partners to walk away entirely. Security, however, remains the toughest challenge of all. No company will risk its assets or the safety of its people in an area where there is a real threat of confrontation or sabotage. The South China Sea is a hotspot for territorial disputes, and the risk of escalation is always present. The Philippine Navy and Coast Guard, while dedicated, are often outmatched by the much larger and better-equipped Chinese maritime forces. This imbalance makes it extremely difficult to guarantee the safety of offshore operations, further discouraging investment. The reality is stark. Without investment, there's nothing to protect. Without security, no one will invest. It's a vicious cycle that keeps the country's resources untapped and its potential unrealized. These challenges, investment, law, and security, are deeply intertwined. Progress in one area depends on advances in the others. A weak legal system undermines security. Poor security scares off investors. Lack of investment means no resources to defend. Overcoming these obstacles requires a comprehensive national strategy. This means legal reforms to clarify and strengthen regulations, economic planning to attract and retain investors, and credible defense measures to protect national interests. All branches of government must work together, coordinating their efforts for maximum impact. The Philippines must demonstrate to the world that it is ready and able to manage its resources securely, transparently, and independently. This is not just about asserting rights, it's about proving capability and commitment. Only when these conditions are met will investors and international allies feel confident enough to commit their resources and support. Trust is built on action, not just promises. The stakes could not be higher. The potential rewards, energy independence, economic growth, and national pride, are immense. But so are the risks and challenges that must be overcome. Ultimately, the nation must prove that it can turn legal victories into real, tangible progress. Only then will the promise of the Philippines' offshore resources become a reality for its people. Facing China's pressure, the Philippines leans on its allies, especially the US, bound by a mutual defense treaty. The US has clarified its commitment to defend Philippine forces in the South China Sea. Other partners, Japan, Australia, Canada, Europe, offer support through joint exercises and diplomatic backing. These alliances send a message. The dispute is a global concern, not just bilateral. But relying on allies raises questions about sovereignty and independence. Some fear the Philippines could become a pawn in great power rivalry. The challenge: use alliances to strengthen security without losing autonomy. Integrated deterrence, combining Philippine and allied strength, aims to prevent aggression. This approach enhances, not diminishes, sovereignty. It gives the Philippines the strength to defend its rights and shape its own future. The West Philippine Sea's future is the Philippines' future. The resources here are a national birthright. Securing them is a collective duty. Unity is essential. Division weakens the nation's stand. Courage is needed, from sailors, fishermen, diplomats, and citizens alike. This struggle transcends politics. It's a generational commitment. When Filipinos speak with one voice, the world listens. The government needs a strong mandate for a smart, principled strategy. The test is one of character, patient, resolute, and united. The goal: a secure, prosperous Philippines, master of its destiny. That is a future worth fighting for.